G'day, this is the Inner Chief Podcast, episode 372. I am your host, Greg Layton, founder of Chief Maker and the Council of Chiefs. I believe there is a great chief in all of us, and that through listening to the stories, strategies, and techniques of great CEOs and gurus, each of you can find and leave your own legacy through your work and life. The Inner Chief Podcast is where you will learn how to think and make moves like a CEO, like a true chief. For over a decade, I've helped CEOs and senior executives around the world boldly lead change, inspire their people, and leave a legacy. On the Inner Chief Podcast, I bring these stories to life with deep diving CEO interviews interspersed with minisodes covering key leadership challenges so you will find your own path to greatness as an executive. G'day, Chiefs. Welcome to the Inner Chief Podcast. Our minisode today is on operating rhythm, tips, and classic problems. Chiefs, one of the most common things I work with executives on and a core part of our mini MBA is about building your team and your organizational operating rhythm. Today, I'm going to talk about 3 important tips to help you bring your operating rhythm to life and to ensure that it is high impact. And then secondarily, I'm going to talk through 3 of the most classic problems that executives face when trying to implement a new or refine an existing operating rhythm. Okay, Chief, our 3 big tips to start with. First is aligning to P2R2. The second is ownership precedes victory. And the third is prepare like a chief. So, Chief, number 1, aligning to P2R2. For those of you familiar with the Chief Maker frameworks, we talk a lot about prepare, perform, recover, review. This is a core part of all high performance. This life cycle where we prepare for something, we perform it, we recover, and we review as individuals, as teams, as organizations. This is a vital element that sits behind all good and effective operating rhythms. When you do not have preparation, performance, recovery, and review, and those elements baked into the back end of your operating rhythm, it misses its impact. You burn out, and you don't get a team that really thrives and lifts performance again and again. Remember, the intention of an operating rhythm is to align the team, unite the team, conduct quality reviews, build culture, stay focused on what's most important, attention to results, accountability. An operating rhythm is not just a schedule of meetings, it's the drumbeat of success of your team. And so if you build an operating rhythm without the principles of a high performance lifecycle, like prepare, perform, recover, review in the background, then it's going to fail. Or maybe not fail, but it's not going to be as effective as it could be. Now, one simple thing just to make this really crystal clear is, for example, imagine you have your monthly or end of month review meeting or monthly sales or operations or review meeting with your team. And you get into that team and really, and this is what I see a lot of, is that meeting is really just a discussion about what happened. And that is it. Here's our numbers. Here's what we achieved. That's what's done. And it's not a fruitful deep dive discovery into what you said would happen, what actually happened, and the root cause. Proper review. This is where we can really learn things from elite sport, where a team after a performance comes into the review room and they've got video analysis, they've got data and statistics, and they give each other feedback about how they could do it better. They collaborate around the team mission. And so many end-of-month reviews really lack that impact. And as a result, you go through month after month after month, and this cycle you go around, and you're actually not getting any better. So the design of your operating rhythm, and we talk about daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual meetings, that in the background, we need that high performance life cycle. The second tip, Chief, is to own it. If you are the team leader, don't outsource the ownership of your operating rhythm. This is yours to own. It's your drumbeat of success. It's a drumbeat of the team culture. It's how you bring your team together. You own it. You set the team meetings and you make sure they're all set up, annual, quarterly, monthly, daily, weekly. Get them into people's calendars. You own the agenda, right? You make sure everyone is prepared and that the meeting purpose, agenda, all the key items, everything we need to have successful meetings, that is all in there. And what I tend to see, and it's a little pitfall, it's not always there, is that leaders are sort of 3/4 or 90% owning the schedule and the operating rhythm. And it just means that people aren't fully bought into it. Chief, ownership precedes victory, particularly on operating rhythm. And that brings me to this third tip, which is really closely aligned to that ownership precedes victory. It's be prepared. Be prepared for meetings. If you're walking into meetings, and we've all done this, Chief, you walk into a meeting and you're sitting there going, what's this meeting about it? And what's the outcome? Who's it for? Who are we in service of here in this meeting? And if you can't answer that, then Chief, we've missed an opportunity. All great chiefs are masters at meetings. Meetings are one of the performance theaters of executives. Your reputation is made and lost in those meetings. Results are made and missed in those meetings. So get on top of it. You had this great opportunity to build team culture, get the team on track, and really drive some results. So, Chief, if you turn up to those meetings and you're not prepared, you are setting the standard for everybody else. Be super prepared, raise the bar, and I guarantee you'll get fantastic results. So, Chief, this leads me to 3 of the most classic problems. We come across this when we're doing offsites with exec teams and boards, and of course in the mini MBA when we have executives from all over the Asia Pacific sharing some of their classic challenges. So the 3 big ones are the uptake and sticking to plan. This is a common problem. The second one is timing alignment across the business. So do you have your operating rhythm lined up with other parts of the business? And third, that your operating rhythm is no longer serving you. You've moved on from it. So let's just talk about each of these in a teeny little bit of detail, and I'll just give a little bit of an idea about how you might be able to overcome these little problems. So one of the most common challenges we get is, and we get this on the mini MBA a lot, hey Greg, how do we get the people in the business to uptake and really take on this operating rhythm? We just can't seem to get people to commit to the meetings, to turn up and be prepared, or we might last a few months and then we drift off, particularly on our monthly and quarterly meetings. And I'll just say this, Chief. This applies to all transformation, but I just really want to labor the point that if you imagine we need to lift a giant boulder and we've got to lift it up the side of a mountain, that is effort, sustained effort. And if you want to lift a team's performance, that's not easy. High performance is hard, right? Even sticking and building an operating rhythm and making sure it happens requires energy and fortitude. So I'm going to say that number 1. Just reflect on how much time and energy you have put into making sure we stick to it. How often have you sacrificed the operating rhythm because something else pops up? Okay, that's number 1. The second little tip I'll give around getting your business and your team to stick to a new operating rhythm is that you need to take them on the journey of understanding why we have this operating rhythm, what the outcomes are of every meeting, and their role and how important that is in the operating rhythm. You've got to sell this to your people, Chief, and you've got to hold them accountable. So For example, if you're a state manager or a general manager of a whole region, and you've got regions running their own operating rhythms and they're battling with it, then you've got to hold them accountable. You've got to turn up and give some energy and fortitude so that the operating rhythm sticks. Okay, the second classic pitfall or problem that a lot of chiefs face is the timing alignment to the whole business. So you might think about AGMs or board meetings, and then we might have an annual review or end of year results, budgeting life cycles and things like this. If you are at the top of the organization, the CEO and the whole executive team, I really encourage you to step back and look at your corporate calendar and say, how does this all fit together? When is our budgeting process? When are we going live with new business plans for the year? Because what your annual offsite, where you start to look at your plans and your vision and your strategy for the upcoming year or two, you really need to make sure that is before the budgeting process happens. Because if you have your budgeting process done and then afterwards you go away and do your business plans, how do you know what the hell you're budgeting for? And is that all that aligned? Right? So we've really got to make sure that our corporate calendar across the entire business sort of all lines up with our meeting structure. Now, if you are then running a department or a region, you want to come off the back of those meetings. So if there's for example, an annual general meeting or annual board meeting, and then there's an annual meeting for the executive team where they go off site and do their vision, strategy, values and all that, your department needs to go after that so that you get this flow on cascading effect of priority and focus and budget throughout the business. So I would expect there'd be a delay. For example, if your annual retreat is around April, May as an exec team, then maybe your regional one is more around May, June, or even July, right, as things flow down into your business. So it's just about getting some real cascading and flow on effect into the team. Okay, Chiefs, the third challenge that so many leaders face is that your operating rhythm no longer serves you. It sort of feels like the meetings are just there for being there and you're not getting results, and you come out of the meetings and you think, we're not getting anywhere anymore. This is just a talk fest. And what I want you to do there is perhaps not a complete rebuild of the rhythm, but a refinement. Which meetings do you want to change up? And you can change them up by changing the agenda, changing who's in the room, changing the location, getting some new reports. There is a whole range of ways and means to really refine your operating rhythm. And I want you to just think about that. An operating rhythm isn't like set in stone, never changes. It does actually evolve a lot, and you are looking for little 1% improvements all the time. Even things like rotating the chair of meetings or bringing in keynote speakers or someone externally every now and then just to breathe a bit of life into some of the work you're doing. So Chiefs, they're the three tips and the classic problems of operating rhythms. We have a complete guide online. If you go to chiefmaker.com/operating rhythm, there is a detailed outline of what an operating rhythm is, the key principles, even the key meetings and when to have them and the agendas. All of that is there if you just go to chiefmaker.com/operating rhythm. And of course, if you want the deep dive, Chief, and you want to learn how to do this in your team currently or whatever team you're leading in the future, our mini MBA covers this in depth and links it back to your purpose, vision, values, strategy, roles, and metrics. Righto, Chief, as always, remember to stay epic. Chief, you can find all the show notes at chiefmaker.com/372, or just check it out on YouTube. Go to chiefmaker.com/YouTube. Now, are you in need of an operating rhythm? An operating rhythm is that schedule of meetings. Actually, it's a bit more than that. It's a system, the drumbeat of your team. And what it will do to get it right is it will create the culture, it will drive the results, it will bond the team together, it will handle risk, help you see around corners, create creativity, embed the rituals and traditions of your team. There is so much that an operating rhythm can deliver when done right. So Chief, if you'd like to know how to do that, just get our full free resource on it. Just go to chiefmaker.com/operating rhythm, and there is a detailed PDF there with all the hows and whats and whys, some of the pitfalls, and an example schedule for you to follow. chiefmaker.com/operating rhythm, and create the drumbeat for success in your team. And if you would like to stay in touch and hear all about some of the best resources that you can find anywhere in the world to improve your performance at work, go to chiefmaker.com/subscribe. Now, Chief, if you're yet to rate the episode and subscribe, I hope you'll do so soon. It helps others see the magnificent value that the chiefs and gurus bring to their life and career. So make sure you hit subscribe on your podcast app now, give it a 5-star rating if you think it's worthy, and leave a short review about your favourite episode. Righto, Chiefs, as always, remember to stay epic.